discussing the reports. A rally was billed for Friday. The police in Lagos had warned on Thursday that people in Lagos shouldn't join the rally, and nonetheless, the rally went ahead anyway. Those who wanted to join the rally joined. But much later, we saw the arrest and the parade of about 47 people arrested by the police in Lagos who have said that the rally which held was illegal. And there have been questions around that. You saw the parade there with the other items displayed, some of them guns, some of them paraphernalia of whatever it was. But that's the matter which we're discussing this morning. The rally, the Yoruba Nation rally, which went on over the weekend. We have with us this morning Mr. Lawrence Alobi, who is a former commissioner of police here in the Federal Capital Territory. And I have to say, welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning. I don't know what your take is on the protests that we have seen in recent times. Some of them rallies asking for secession or asking for, agitating for their own nation. What are your thoughts as a police officer and also as a Nigerian citizen?
Yeah, as a Nigerian citizen, the law allows me to organize, to hold rally, to hold civil protests, provided it is done within the law. Like the Constitution provides in Section 41, 42 of freedom of association, freedom of movement. But then Section 45 also provides that whatever rally I'm going to organize will not be a threat to public peace, public defense, protect the life and property of other people and so forth, good public health or morality and so forth. So the law empowers the citizen to organize rallies, but that rally has to be done within the ambit of the law. The law has to be followed. You see, in 2008, there was this case between All Nigerian People's Party and the Inspector General of Police. The party applied to the police for a permit, and the permit said they refused giving the permit. The party went ahead to carry out the protest rally, and the police went to the rally was disrupted, and the party went to court, and the court ruled that the police have no power to issue permits. Then again, Popular Act also provides under Section 1 that the state governor, the governor of a state has power to organize, to hold rallies, and issue permit. He can delegate those power to the police, commissioner of police of the state, to issue permit, and the police now, if authorized, can allow that rally to go on, or protest or civil protest to go on. But again, like I said, Section 45 provides clearly that any rally, with the right to hold a rally, will be validated when they begin to threaten public peace or public defense, or threat to public peace and security, or public health. You see, even look at the scripture, for instance, the Bible. Why did God punish Adam and Eve? Because Adam and Eve disobeyed the law. Why did God bless Abraham? Because Abraham obeyed the law. You see, your right to enjoy, your freedom and your privilege, freedom, your right, is predicated on you obeying the law. Because the law is meant to guide the judicial value of law is based on we to control our conduct and behavior for the good of society.
So let's say that is the situation, and that is the situation indeed, but one of the first things which you said was that you have a right of association,
yes,
the right to organize a rally if you so wish.
Yes.
So why do you think that the police said that the rally which was proposed to hold in Lagos was illegal? What made that particular rally illegal?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the Popular Act, laws of the Federation provides that it's a governor of a state who has power to issue permits, not the police. But the governor can delegate the commissioner of police of that state to issue permits for that rally. But if also the same Popular Act provides that the governor can also prescribe the form which that procession rally will take. That is the essence. Is to regulate, ensure that that rally is being regulated. Because in most cases, these rallies or protests have been hijacked by hoodlums and becomes bloody, they cause mayhem, arson, and so forth. And Section 45 provides that you have the right to organize a rally, but that rally should not be a threat to life and property of other citizens.
From the visuals that we saw,
yeah.
we didn't see that rally had the potential or eventually became rowdy or unruly. Did we see that?
The point is that the police have a duty. The citizens also have a duty. Section 24E of the Constitution provides that it's the constitutional duty of every Nigerian citizen to assist the agency of internal law and order. That is the constitutional duty of every Nigerian. As you have your right to protest, to demonstrate, to do whatever you live, right to freedom of movement, right to association, and so forth, you also have a duty to ensure that law and order is being maintained in the country. Like I said earlier, for you to enjoy your rights, you have a duty to also obey the law. So that the police have to anticipate, because in most cases, you see, in crisis management and law enforcement, you anticipate crisis to manage crisis. You don't allow it to happen because it might snowball to a point where you cannot manage. So you have to be proactive. You have to anticipate and prepare, take action against such it occurring. That's part of the creative way Nigerian police or security agencies have to manage crisis situations.
Interestingly, Lagos has, developed a place whereby those who feel aggrieved for anything or have any need to organize a rally, they oftentimes now go to the Gani Fawehinmi, square. It's not much of a square, but let's call it a square, where you have the statue done in memory of late activist Chief Gani Fawehinmi, SAN. And that's where protests usually hold. Whatever grievance you have, and that's where it's done. On Friday or so, we saw the police in Lagos mobilizing. I wish you could see the visuals there. The police in Lagos mobilizing for that particular protest because they feared that it was going to be, deadly, or it could get out of hand. And so we saw the police bringing out the equipment in full force to say that they were ready if there were going to be any troublemakers there. What we eventually saw was the police dispersing the protesters who looked like they didn't have much on them. At least that's what it looked like to the cameras. Do you think that it was absolutely necessary for the police to disperse them in any way? Why don't you just leave them until they're spread?
Yeah, you see, one thing again, the police too have to learn how to manage, how to police citizens in democratic society. We are operating a democracy. We're not a military regime or colonial administration where the rights have to be repressive policing and so forth. You see, when I used to be sweep, I used to be a commander in the 1980s, 1996. There was a protest of all the civil servants in Enugu State. They moved from what they call Freedom Square in Enugu. They marched up to where you have the labor house, teachers' house after the railway line. I was having a meeting in 82D with Colonel GS. My SCP then called, I was on some commission, and the SCP called me on the working team. Lauren, leave that meeting, and go to this crisis. When I came out, I saw, as I moved, I went the crowd. Many of the scholars said, oh, our Messiah has come. Pulling me with tear gas using horsewhip. I said, stop. You know, you don't use horsewhip on police or human beings. They're not animals, they're not cows. The point is that the police need to understand.
That's the police mobilizing, I think.
Yeah, the police need to understand that they too need to they're policing a democratic dispensation. So this attitude of militarized policing should not be used at all. That's I don't ever advocate a situation where the military is being used for crowd control or dispersing crowd, because the military are not trained for crowd control.
No, thankfully, it's the police here. I mean, we're not saying the military.
No, I'm just saying both, because sometimes they use even that the paper reported that the military were also there, police were also there. So what I'm saying is that the police should also understand. Like when I was in service, we need to understand that you need to engage the people. Let them understand you're not there to disrupt to anything against them or something. But let whatever they're doing, let them do it in line with the law. When I was CPFCT, the students of Abuja University blocked the whole of Federal highway with trailers and tankers. They won't keep their busy, then I don't want to mention his name. I went there. I addressed the student. I used to be a student activist, right? And we organized Limos go do when who was our president. I addressed the students, and after that I spoke to them. I said, I use, student psychology, Nigerian student both, Nigerian student, great Nigerian student, and so forth. I started talking to them. I said, let us go back, and said yes, and think how can I dialogue with the government. I traveled with my students from the Agugada Highway to the campus. I didn't throw one tear gas. My men was so I said, no, you don't throw any tear gas. And again, when officers are on operations, sometimes they don't give the rules of engagement to the men. You say boss, men go, they don't know what to do. You have to be in control. I want my men, you don't throw any tear gas or fire a shot without my command. That's my policy. And I've always done that. I've maintained that. I've never threw any tear gas or fire any throughout my stay as CP Abuja, or when I was recommending Enugu when I police. In fact, that Enugu incident, I trekked with them from that point to the secretariat, and I addressed the workers. I asked them to give me their leader, give me 5 leaders. I told them my commissioner will now took them to the governor of them, Chimaroke then. I didn't throw a tear gas. I worked with them. In fact, the distance from here to police headquarters. So it is the police need to apply empathy and compassion, because they have a right to protest. And the government should not just block out people from protesting, because how would they know the feelings of the people they are ruling? The government need to understand that you have to have a listening ear. Understand that. That's how you know what people can assess, accountability can assess. Are you doing well? Are you not doing well? When you dance, you don't see your back. You still don't know how you are dancing, how you are doing. So the government should have a listening ear. The police should also understand that they're not policing human animals, they're policing human beings. And they have to apply what I call principle of democratic policing. Policing in line with democratic norms and values. And that is, and that is have to respect human rights, in line with the rule of law, and ensure that you are policing to meet the needs of the people.
All right, but Mr. Alobi, if you could just go ahead and give us your concluding perspectives now. Is it that the police is helpless when they have to go out there and enforce a ban? Because people say there's a law that people have a right to protest peacefully. Why does the police always clamp down on such peaceful protests?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chamberlain. You see, the police need to understand too, like I said earlier, that they are policing a democratic society, not just a democratic dispensation. And they have to police in line with democratic norms and values. See, the type of government in the country determines the style of policing or form of policing or the framework of policing. So Nigerian police should understand, or second Nigerians should know that they are policing a Nigerian democratic society. They should also imbibe democratic policing, which they have to policing in conformity with democratic norms and values, like human rights, protection, and so forth. The point is that when officers lead men to maybe disperse crowd or peaceful protest or demonstrations, they don't give them directive. They don't give the rules of engagement. Some of it just say they just ask the men to emboss, they emboss again, the men just do what they like. I think, like I've always done myself, even with Oshomole, when doing labor, when I was in charge of fellow operations, labor, then Obasanjo, the labor was tough everywhere. But we never one day threw any tear gas or shot any bullet. The point is that we use persuasion. We apply persuasion. We're not here to kill you or to do anything or disturb. We're here to maintain law and order in your own interest of the society. And you not really be within the ambit of the law. So the police officer, anybody leading an operation or to quell such demonstrations or disperse, you must always direct their men on the rules of engagement. You must never fire any shot or throw any tear gas, because sometimes the way the police respond to such demonstrations can even provoke some violent action from the citizens. So it requires some persuasion. The police needs training on how to police civil process and civil demonstrations and protests and rallies.
I think it's a fine place to leave it. I mean, there'll continue to be conversations. We have seen protests from NSAS up until now, even before NSAS. But, what happened with NSAS and now with what is happening with agitations, there will be huge questions as to whether or not the police have been fully equipped and trained to be able to handle such protests. But we have to thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Mr. Lawrence Alubi is a former commissioner of the police here in the Federal Capital Territory. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.